Tonight's main event isn't in the ring. No, it's between the two men who basically control the entire sport of boxing. We're going to break down the biggest rivalry outside the ropes, a promotional war that has literally defined the modern era of fighting. So, in one corner, you've got Frank Warren, the architect, a guy who has spent decades building the very foundations of British boxing. And in the other corner, Eddie Hearn, the disruptor, the man who came in, tore up the old rulebook, and completely rebuilt the sport for the social media age. This is a classic clash of styles, and believe me, the stakes could not be higher.
All right, first up, let's make the case for the traditionalist, Frank Warren. You got to think of him as the bedrock of British boxing. I mean, the man is a Hall of Famer who's been at the top of the game longer than a lot of today's champions have even been alive.
His legacy? It's built on a foundation of absolute legends. We're talking since the early 80s, guiding fighters like the electrifying Prince Naseem Hamed, the People's Champion Ricky Hatton, and the undefeated Joe Calzaghe. That Hall of Fame induction, that's not just some trophy on a shelf, it's proof of a lifetime spent mastering the art of promotion.
So what's his style? Well, he's the cultivator. Warren plays the long game, He finds that raw talent and then builds their careers piece by piece, fight by fight. This is old school promotion, focusing on crafting a real, lasting legacy and building deep relationships, not just chasing a quick buck.
But here's the question. Is old school enough to compete in the modern world? Okay, let's switch corners and talk about the man who tore up that very rulebook, Eddie Hearn. If Warren is the traditionalist, then Hearn is the modernizer who dragged boxing, kicking and screaming, straight into the 21st century. Just look at this number, 90,000. That's how many fans packed into Wembley Stadium for a matchroom event. See, Hearn didn't just promote a fight. He created a massive cultural event. He has this incredible knack for turning boxing from a niche sport back into a mainstream spectacle that everybody is talking about. And his masterstroke? A billion-dollar deal with the streaming service DAZN. And this wasn't just about the money, this was a seismic shift in how we all watch boxing. He broke away from that traditional, expensive pay-per-view model to reach a whole new, global, digital audience. It's that kind of innovative thinking that turned his father's company, Matchroom, into an absolute global powerhouse. The guy's a marketing genius. He embraces the noise, he's not afraid to take risks on those controversial crossover fights, and he just understands modern media better than anyone else in the game. Simple as that.
So what does this all boil down to? One style, the marketer. Hearn's approach is loud, it's flashy, and it is relentlessly focused on commercial success. It's all about big money, global reach, and making as much noise as humanly possible to sell a fight. Okay, so we've heard the opening arguments for both promoters, the architect versus the disruptor, the cultivator versus the marketer. Now, let's put them head to head. It is time for the tale of the tape. So how do they really stack up against each other when we break it all down? Let's score this thing, round by round.
All right, let's score the rounds. Round 1, legacy and longevity. That clearly goes to Frank Warren. Decades of experience wins out, no question. But innovation? Whoa, that's a knockdown for Eddie Hearn and his pioneering of the streaming era. Global reach? That's another round for Hearn, all thanks to that massive DAZN deal. But then, when it comes to fighter relations, Warren takes the round right back, with his reputation for those deep, career-long bonds. Man, this is a fascinatingly close fight.
And there's the final bell. We've seen the evidence, we've heard the arguments. It is time to go to the judges' scorecards for the final verdict in this epic promotional showdown.
But just like in a really close championship fight, there's no easy winner here. The truth is, who you think is better really depends entirely on what you value. This isn't ending in a knockout. This is going to be a split decision.
So on one judge's scorecard, the winner is Frank Warren. If you value legacy, tradition, and the pure craft of building a champion from the ground up, he is your man. His Hall of Fame career really says it all. But on the second judge's scorecard, the win goes to Eddie Hearn. If what you value is modern impact, commercial power, and globalizing the sport for a whole new generation, well, he has completely redefined the game. So what does that mean? A split decision? A draw. But this story has one final absolutely incredible twist. After years as bitter arch rivals, a new force in boxing has forced them to do the unthinkable: work together.
So, with the architect and the disruptor finally combining their strengths instead of fighting each other, who is the real undisputed winner of this long running war? Well, it's the people who get to see the biggest fights finally happen,